So next question's from Ace on Twitch. Ace is asking, what do you guys think about the new hardware Valve announced? Do you think Resonite will be able to run smooth on Steam Frame standalone? So there's kind of two questions in that one. So first on the hardware, it's quite exciting. Valve is doing more hardware. They're doing the new controller, which I haven't actually used it myself, but I know from a bunch of people they really liked the controller, and they were very sad when they discontinued the previous version. There's also actually, I forget the name of it. I just know it as the Gape Cube, the PC. That was also kind of cool.
It's the Steam machine, I'm pretty sure.
Steam machine. It'll always be Gape Cube to me. And of course, that's most relevant to us, the Steam Frame, which I'm really glad, there's new VR hardware, a standalone headset that's not meta. There's a lot of things about it, that are very exciting. One of the things that I found very interesting is it's Arch based. So it's literally you can be I wear Arch on my face, by the way. And I'm kind of curious how it's going to work. You actually be able to use, your desktop environment in VR that's just runs on the headset. And apparently you can also run normal games, which I imagine there's probably going to be some screen in front of you or something. It is very cool from that aspect. It also has eye tracking, which is big plus. It doesn't have face tracking, but I feel you can just attach Project Babel on it, which is actually what I'm using right now. So I feel that shouldn't be that big of an issue. They probably already made or gonna make braces for it, so it's easy to attach. For me, one of the things that I'm personally kind of disappointed for is that it uses LCD displays, because in VR headsets, I really want OLEDs, because I really want true blacks. I want very vivid colors. The LCDs, they tend to make me, especially in dark environments, they make me feel I have cataracts because of the grayish glow. My hope is they would do something similar with Steam Deck, where they would release more expensive version with OLED. I don't know if they'll do it. I might, don't know, maybe complicate things, but it is my hope they would do that at some point. But regardless, I am very excited there's more hardware out there. And as you know, from a company that I personally trust. So I'm very happy for that. And we did apply for a developer unit as well. We'll see if they give us one or not. It's kind of, I don't know what their kind of this processes are for this. But hopefully they'll send us one. I would definitely love to play with it, make sure Resonite works really well. Do you want to talk about the hardware itself before I move on to the next question? About how it'll run?
I'm really excited because it is a very comprehensive radio setup in it. It's got 2.4 gigahertz for the controllers, 5 gigahertz for its own internet connection, and then 6 gigahertz solely for the VR connection to your computer. Yeah. So they're advertising latencies of, I think on slightly older but still VR capable GPUs, they're advertising latencies of 5 to 6 milliseconds. And on modern GPUs, they're advertising latencies down to 1 to 2 milliseconds. Which is actually crazy. Just insane.
Yeah. I mean, even with I've been whenever I travel, I use my Quest Pro, and I use Steam Link with it, and that always feels really good. It's one of the best streaming solutions for me. Them also making hardware to pair with it, that's gonna be I feel god tier.
Yeah, I think that, plus there's this upcoming new full body tracker from a company called FluxPose that's going to be using electromagnetic field tracking that actually looks really darn good. And honestly, I'm convinced that Lighthouse might be on its way out.
Yeah, I'm just excited for those. So
fully standalone.
For the second question, Resonate running smooth on Steam Frame standalone, I feel it's too early to say. There's a lot of variables. So what I'm kind of curious about is because when we run like, so Steam Frame is like, it's kind of streaming first, so you'll be able to like, run it like on your PC, stream to the headset. I think that's going to be, the same as it is like right now. Plus, the improved latency and stuff like that. For running on the hardware itself, there's a few questions that we're like, figure out. On Linux, one of the things we do because of the split ending, we actually run the main process as native Linux application, as like native .NET 9 application with the binary, like the native libraries being compiled for Linux, for x64. And when you start it, and only the render, which is like, Unity, that actually only the render is running under Proton. Well, that's the bootstrap one that runs under Proton, but that's not too important for this. What I'm curious about, because the Steam Frame, it's an ARM platform, so it's not like x64. I'm curious if the Proton with, I think they're using Vex, or what was it called, for like emulating x64.
It's Vex.
Vex. Oh. I'm curious if we can escape that and essentially run, because .NET 9 and .NET 10, they support ARM. So that should run. J4, when our team's also been working on compiling our native libraries for ARM, so we might be able to like, escape that and run the main process natively and have only the Unity process, which is doing the rendering, run under under Proton with the like, ARM to x64 like, translation layer. In terms of how smooth it runs, there's like, so the smoothness depends, are we able to do that? Because if we are able to do that, that skips, Proton and the ARM emulation for, majority of the CPU processing for the engine itself. That's just going to run natively, which is going to help reduce a lot of the overhead. The other thing is, how well the emulation works, how much it slows the render down, because the render will have to run under that, at least until we eventually switch our render. So depending how much it slows it down, that's gonna depend on things a bit. And the third thing is, like, how's the performance itself? We don't know right now, so hard to say. It is mobile hardware, so I don't like. It's not going to be able to handle as much as desktop can because it just straight up doesn't have as many resources. Whether it runs smooth or not is going to heavily depend on what kind of world you are in. But we've had some like interesting things, like where people in our community, they've already, like Orion Munklo, he already got the splitting, like he got it to run on his like mobile phone under ARM. And it wasn't awful. Like, he managed to like load the Cloud Home, and normally he got like 9 FPS there, which isn't much. But like, if he scaled the window down, so it's like rendering a lot less, like the FPS like went to some. I think he said something like 20, 30. So it was actually kind of decent. And there was mobile phone. Steam Frame, it should have better GPU, because when you scale the window down, that indicates a lot of the performance is actually because rendering too many pixels. That's too heavy on it. Steam Frame should have better GPU. I think it's like AMD, like custom based, so that should like make it work better. But like ultimately, we'll have to try it. Like there's a lot of variables. Like are we able to escape the ARM sandbox? How fast is
shared memory?
Shared memory. How fast is like how fast is essentially gonna be like the emulation for, or like translation for the render, and what's just the raw performance itself. We'll probably experiment with it, but hard to say. But even with all of that, if everything is optimal, I still like. You're not gonna be able to get like as smooth as you can on PC just because the hardware is not as fast. So you might need to like limit it to smaller worlds, or like lower, like you need to like reduce amount of geometry you have, amount of like lights, amount like things like that. But we'll see.
Like,
I'm pretty excited for it.
The only real like point of comparison we have are like comparing it to like some of, I think like some people got like Resonite running, like they recompiled like an Android version of it to run it on like a Quest or something. So like that's like the
Quest.
only real point of comparison that I would have for
Yeah.
how good it might run. Bottom line, it might run a little bit better than that. Who knows?
I think it'll be better because of the GPU. I mean, in the past, I got like Froox engine to run. Like the earliest was something like Oculus Go, and it worked. Like it ran. You couldn't like load as complex worlds, but it wasn't too awful. And that was, with Mono. That wasn't like with .NET 9. So I think you'll be able to do a bunch of stuff like natively. It's just like actually, there was another person, like, they were running, like, I met them yesterday? No, 2 days ago. It was, like, a Campfire Friday. And apparently they were running in VR on, like, the, is it, like, Asus or Acer? The handheld headset, what is it called? The Li ROG?
I think that'd be Asus.
Is it Asus?
Yeah, Asus, I think, has the ROG brand.
ROG, Li... Yeah, this is Asus. So they were running on that in VR and actually got like decent frame rate in a world with like, I don't know, like over 20 people. So
Wow.
promising. I don't know how, again, I don't know how it compares, in terms of performance though, like to the Steam frame. We'll have to wait and see, but I think you can like get like a decent amount of like worlds. Like if they're not too complex, I think you can get like a bunch of them to run like, okay.
I work on some personal projects like
yeah. And Valve, give us devkit so we can experiment, please.
Pretty please.
Next question's from Cybercat320. This question might have already been asked, joined just now, but are there any plans to making use of the Steam Frame's extra inputs, or maybe adding additional bumper support, since Vive Cosmos controllers have bumpers too? We already should support those for the Vive Cosmos, like there should be a node for them. But yeah, like we're probably gonna add like a node that like has all the inputs, so you can, do whatever you want with those controllers, and then we can like, build our own control scheme on it as well. Yeah, so there's the node, and you see there's a bumper right there, so you can already get the bumper on this. So
one of the bigger nodes.
We're gonna like make a version of this node for the Steam Frame controllers, assuming we get our hands on a devkit. So Valve, again, please, devkit, so we can add this and have people experiment with it and do cool things.
This is a sad node. This is what we call a sad node.
Which one's this? Is that the Vive? It is the Vive. Yeah. Yeah, it's like how few inputs we have. Like, imagine how big the Steam Frame one will be. Like, it'll be so many inputs. You have a lot of
all the capacitives. All the capacitors for every button.
Yeah, we'll be able to get everything. We're gonna make so many cool control schemes. But yeah, for anybody from Valve, we have very creative, community. They do a lot of cool things. We need to give them this for the Steam Frame so they can make super cool things with all the inputs on the node. So please, devkit.
Just give me a VR controller that's just like an entire like keyboard, like have a keyboard on each controller.
Oh my god.